Grace, welcome to the cave.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be
Thank you.
here.
Thank you for joining me. You have a great show coming out. Like I said, I watched the screen there. You must be really excited about this.
I'm very, very excited. Yeah.
So before we jump into the show, I want to talk about how did you get to this point in your career?
Well, I skated and competed for most of my life. And then I got this audition, and it was the collision of my two favorite things in the world.
Wow, just so you had did you have any interest in acting at all, or like what
Mhm.
was the goal?
I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was probably like 8 or 7.
Okay.
And then I started skating and competing kind of around when I was like between 10 and 12-ish.
Yeah.
And so skating very much took up my time, and I focused heavily on that. And I knew I still wanted to act, but at the time skating became my focus. And then when I was about 16 or 17, kind of about to graduate like high school and starting to think about after high school, I was like, okay, no, I still really want to act. And then when I got this, it was just kind of full circle. So
Oh wow. Was what else made you fall in love with acting and skating, by the way?
well, so for skating, it was that so my dad taught me when I was 3 and just locally, and I have such fond memories of that. And then when I was about 10, Vancouver hosted the 2010 Olympics, and my mom took my brother, sister, and I to watch the women's free program. And where we were was in the kiss and cry. So it's like right where the skaters get off and hear their scores, and they sit with their coach, and it's a very emotional center of the rink.
Yeah.
And I was in awe, and I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I want to do that. Like, I have to do that. And with acting, it was an elementary school musical
Oh wow.
where I had a solo, and I just being on stage and feeling like so comfortable and happy to share something that I was excited about with like a room, what was a gym of parents.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, when you're 8 and you don't care, you're just like, this is awesome. And just getting to play, it's my favorite thing.
Oh wow. Did you when you in high school did you start taking acting lessons like or
Mhm.
did you do both skating lessons and acting lessons?
Yeah, so I skated in high school. I skated 4 times a week, I think. It was 4 or 5 times a week. And then I started taking acting lessons with my coach, Beatrice King, in Vancouver when I think I was 16 or 17. I was going into grade
Wow.
11. Yeah. And I was like, I want to do this and I want to do it right.
So what during your the time when you were taking acting lessons, did you start auditioning? What was the next step that you took? Because I noticed like when I was doing research on you, like this you're still pretty new to this the game, I guess, the industry.
Hmm. Yeah, well, that was kind of well, basically what happened was that I was taking classes, and at the time I wasn't represented, but I didn't want to create a reputation in Vancouver without having proper training beforehand, because I wanted to put myself in the market per se as someone that you could just throw on set and I would be fine.
Hmm.
And so I focused heavily on training beforehand. And then when my coach and I felt like we were, or like that I was ready for it, I ended up signing with an agency and just auditioning from there. And then when I got this, obviously it was my second job. And I was
Yeah.
like, that worked.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about Netflix Zero Chill. Like, so like did you read it? Like, how did that happen? Tell us about the audition process for that first.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a text from my agent in the summer of 2019, and he was like, "Hey, remind me what your skating experience is." And I just looked at my phone and kind of laughed, and I was like, "If there's an audition where I have to skate, like I am getting that job. That is my job."
Right.
And obviously, every actor says that, like when they get an audition. But I was like, no, no, like this is aligning. Like I need this.
Yeah.
And so I sent in a tape and had a call back, and then they were like, all right, cool, you're going to Toronto for a chem read. And I was like, okay, cool. Got on a plane, and then we all had to meet up at an ice rink. So I like flew from Vancouver to Toronto, got to this ice rink, and there were like, I think 13 or 14 of us just all skating together. And that was like where I met Dakota, who plays my brother. And we just got along really well. And then we went home and heard nothing for like 7 weeks.
Wow.
And but the thing is that this is where you have to learn to befriend uncertainty, because after I had finished my round of chem reads, the our exec producer and director of our first block said to me, he was like, these things take a long time, but we will be in touch. And I was like, oh, okay. So then 7 weeks goes by and everyone's like, hey, so what about that thing? Like, it sounded like you really did well and whatever. And some people obviously start to kind of bring in the whole kind of like, well, you haven't even heard anything yet. And I was like, no, he said it takes a long time. So I'm just going to wait. And then I got the call that I got it. And I was like,
Wow.
yes.
So when you got the call that you got it, how long was it where you had to like, because it got filmed in England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you have before you like start packing your bags and heading out there?
I think it was a month.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I was skating during the time that I hadn't heard anything yet. I was like, you know what? I might as well just keep skating. Like, if I do get it, I want to go in like well trained. And so I just kept skating like 3 or 4 times a week. And then I got it. And I was like, oh, okay, great, cool. That worked.
So how long were you there for? How long did it take you to film all the episodes?
So we trained for 9 weeks. So like all of kind of October, November, and then we started filming in December, went home for Christmas, came back, and then we were supposed to film from January to March. And then we got shut down with 2 weeks left, obviously because of COVID. And so we had like 10 shoot days left, and all of us went home and sat on it until August. So we all went back in August and finished shooting. So I guess sort of 4 months,
Wow.
if you were to like count that, but
Yeah.
a while.
You mentioned training. Was it for you? Was it like figure skating, and then because there's also hockey in it too? So is it both trainers, or is it one trainer for both? How does that work?
So we had initially it was that we all skated together, and then it became more like figure skating had certain blocks and hockey had certain blocks. So then like when one group was on the ice, the other group was doing off ice training. And so we were all just at the rink all the time. And our figure skating coach is David Hartley, who's a very amazing skating coach in England. And so we worked with some really amazing people.
No, you played Kayla, a 15-year-old. How was it trying to go back and pretty much going back in time and kind of reliving your youth in a way?
Honestly, it was really, really fun. It was really fun to play a 15-year-old,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. Yeah, because you kind of get to go back and empathize even with yourself, kind of as a younger version of you, and being like, okay, how did I feel when I was 15? Because sometimes the world can feel really big and really scary, and that really helped me to tap into how Kayla was feeling, because obviously the highs and lows feel really, really high and really, really low, and I wanted to tell a true story.
Now, what would you say is like the one thing that's you have a common with the character? Would you say that it was the skating? What else?
I'd say well, obviously, yeah, the skating element of it, but
Yeah.
Kayla is a really resilient character. She's super driven, and once she's got her mind on something, she goes for it 100%. And I think that that's something that I have in common with her.
Yeah. What do you love the most about her?
I love that she jumps and doesn't think.
Okay.
And obviously that may be like something that it could be seen as not a good quality, but her impulsivity is something that I admire, because I think that takes a lot of courage to just be like, no, this feels right and I want to do it and I'm going to do it.
You mentioned Dakota earlier. He plays your brother. In the first few episodes, you noticed that you guys butt heads a lot. Tell us about the chemistry. Tell us about the chemistry of that. And like,
what's super funny about that is that Dakota and I don't butt heads at all, like in person, like at all, ever.
yeah.
He's so relaxed and really funny. And he and I just got along right away, and everything felt really natural working together. And so the butting heads kind of thing, both of us have siblings. We kind of get that whole kind of like, I love you, but I hate you right now.
Yeah.
And I think that that really came across.
And also, like, there's also like for the listeners and the viewers, you know, if they haven't watched the show yet, or if they will, it's like there's a big mystery to it too. Like in the first episode, we kind of see like there's a hockey player that has a mask on and he's skating around, and now you're trying to figure out who that is. What did you enjoy about that whole storyline?
I loved that. Again, it's just Caleb being like, I don't know who this is. I don't know anything about them, but I'm going to, and this is going to work. I loved that it was just something that was, I think that she spends a lot of, obviously, because like her being in the rink alone is really special to her, and that's something that's really special to me as well. And I think that the moment of just sharing the ice with someone when you're kind of not supposed to be there, but doing the thing that you love, I think that that was really special. And I love that story.
For your character, what's like your favorite scene that you were in?
Okay, so there's a scene in episode 8 between me and Dakota, and it's an argument, but not really. And we shot it in August, and we had to socially distance in the scene. And because of the nature of the argument, being more than 6 feet apart actually created kind of an emotional, like it allowed the emotional distance to be there as well, and like our inability to kind of build a bridge. Yeah. And I really, that scene's really special to me.
Has there been any word? I know it hasn't been released yet. I mean, you were talking, like, has there been any word about season 2 yet? Has there been like a storyline written for it?
I actually don't know.
Interesting. So I guess we'll have to find out when it airs.
Guess we will.
So when you're not working and you're not skating, what do you enjoy doing outside of those two favorite things, I guess?
I have 2 dogs, and I love them very much. And we go hiking and exploring Vancouver, and it's a beautiful place to live. So I like to spend a lot of time outside.
Do you ever see yourself moving to LA?
I lived in LA for like a year or so, because I also go to USC. Okay. So pre-COVID, pre-zero chill, I went to USC in person, and then recently I've been doing it online. But I mean, if I were to be working on a job in LA, I would, but I don't know.
The whole COVID thing, have you been doing more self-tape auditioning lately? Yeah.
Yeah. Is there
any projects that you filmed even like during COVID that you can tell us about? Or
I've filmed quite a few. One of them I cannot talk about yet, but I just wrapped on Saturday morning. But other than that, I shot a Christmas movie for Hallmark in October that came out in November called 5-Star Christmas, and that was tons of fun to shoot. And then I shot, I don't know if I can talk about the other one either, but I've shot 3 things besides Zero Chill during the pandemic.
So lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
I am on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok with the handle @GraceBeedie.
All right, Grace, this was great. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.